Let's rank Dire Straits' studio albums. Ahoy hoy everybody, and welcome to another album ranking. I felt it was about time I did another one. I haven't had time to... I said at the end of the last album ranking I did the Beatles one, but I wanted to do somebody else with a substantial catalogue, but I haven't had time to go through a substantial catalogue. So I've picked one a catalogue I know really well, but it's only 6 studio albums, and as I say, that's Dire Straits. I'm not entirely sure quite how I got into Dire Straits, other than the fact that I definitely loved Money for Nothing, and the first album of theirs I bought was Brothers in Arms, so I'm guessing it was just through the love of that song. But I don't really know where I first saw them, where I first heard that song, anything like that. But I know I sort of pretty much fell in love with them instantly when I did. Bought Brothers in Arms on vinyl. That was the only album I had on vinyl, but then when I started collecting cassettes properly, I had the cassettes from a debut through to Brothers in Arms. Then when I started collecting CDs, I got them all on CD, and that's when I picked up On Every Street. And then getting back into vinyl, they were one of the first bands I wanted to collect a vinyl of. I have all these studio albums. I have Alchemy. I have the Money for Nothing compilation because there's exclusive live stuff on there. The sort of gap in the collection at the minute is the On the Night live album, because that's silly money. But yeah, that's sort of me and Dire Straits. They were my favourite band. They sort of were probably my first favourite after Shaky. And then Queen sort of supplanted them until I discovered Prince properly. But yeah, they were certainly my favourite band for 2 or 3 years. Absolutely love all these albums, but, you know, the whole point of a ranking is to put them in order. There's only 6, so at the bottom, and funnily enough, I wrote this list when I was sort of listening to the albums as I bought them. But then, just taking them off my shelf now, I thought, right, I'll put them in the order that's in my head, and then compare it to that list. And it was identical, apart from the bottom 2 had switched round. So I've sort of had another look at the track listings, and no, I think this is the right order for me, for my tastes. So at number 6 is their final album, On Every Street. I've never completely loved this album, possibly because I sort of didn't get it until quite a bit after it was released. But I think for me, there's just too much slide guitar on it. I don't mind slide guitar. I quite like slide guitar, but it's not really what I want on a Dire Straits album. And I think, yeah, when I think about it, that's really what puts this album down for me. But Calling Elvis is a great track. The title track is a great track. Don't Mind the Bug a fair bit. You and Your Friend, likewise. Heavy Fuel, likewise. The other tracks just sort of melt away in my head. It's definitely the album of theirs I'm least familiar with. But yeah, number 6 is On Every Street. So then at number 5, promoted in my head over the last, probably years since I wrote that list. Might even be a bit longer. But that's Communique. I know some people have this pretty high. I've never loved it. It's always been, right near the bottom for me. There's some really strong tracks on here, but then the rest of them don't do much for me. So the opener, Once Upon a Time in the West, is great. Where Do You Think You're Going's great. Lady Writer's great. Portobello Bell's great. The other tracks are sort of, average to good, but sort of no more than that. So that's why this is number 5. And then number 4, purely really because there's 3 albums I love more, is the self-titled debut. an album that's definitely dominated by Sultans of Swing, which is just one of the greatest songs ever written. But Down to the Waterline, Water of Love, Southbound Again, In the Gallery, Wild West End, all really strong, and the other 2 or 3 tracks very good as well. Yeah, a great debut, really strong album, but because there's 3 I like more. Number 4 is the Dire Straits, by Dire Straits. So number 3, and this is one that I was toying with switching with number 2, but I think nostalgia says it's got to be number 3, and it's Love Over Gold. I adore this album. This is a 5-star, 10 out of 10, whatever you want to call it, A++ album for me, faultless for me. Side A, Telegraph Road, that magnificent marathon of a song, just genius. And then Private Investigations, which is, you know, deservedly is a radio staple to this day. And then side B, you've got the quirkier stuff. Industrial Disease, which I've always adored. I know some people really don't like it, but I absolutely adore it. The title track, which is a beautiful ballad. And then It Never Rains, which is, yeah, possibly a slight weak link on the album. But still, you know, it's a 9 out of 10 instead of the 10 out of 10 that everything else is for me. So yeah, my third favourite is Love Over Gold. So number 2, and as I say, you know, it's pretty much equal with Love Over Gold, but for nostalgia's sake, number 2 is Brothers in Arms. As I say, the first Dire Straits I owned, listened to it hundreds of times. I mentioned in my recent things that annoy me about music releases video, when I got this on CD and heard the longer versions, it just completely threw me, because I was so familiar with the shortened versions on the vinyl release, and to this day the CD doesn't sound right to me. But yeah, obviously this was the big breakthrough album that really made them megastars. The singles of this, all magnificent. So Far Away, Money for Nothing, Walk of Life, Your Latest Trick, and the title track, all just absolutely magnificent tracks. The rest of it, Why Worry, really nice song. Ride Across the River, took me a while, that one. It was sort of, for a long time I didn't like it that much, but over the years I've grown to really love it. Man's Too Strong, the steel guitar prominent, I've really always loved. One World, slightly different style for them, but again another strong, catchy song. Yeah, love Brothers in Arms. But my favourite, and you've all worked it out I'm sure, is Making Movies. From the very first moment I heard this album on a cassette that my cousin recorded for me, I loved it. You got Tunnel of Love, just great song. Romeo and Juliet, another radio staple to this day, just awesome. Skate Away, which is probably my favourite Dire Straits track. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why, but there's just something about it I really love. Espresso Love, really great fun, catchy pop rock song. Hand in Hand, nice simple ballad, but really well done. Solid Rock, great, fun, up-tempo song. And then it ends on Les Boys, which is another track that I've always just adored. The way it builds, and it's really catchy. Yeah, just love it. So my favourite Dire Straits album is Making Movies. So there you go, short and simple. Let me know your rankings in the comments below. Tell me why I'm wrong. We'll see who I do next. If I've got time, it'll be a bigger one. If I haven't, and I feel we're due one, it'll be a shorter catalogue. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.